Okay, so a little bit more about the turret engineering. So this is the design basis. So it's designed to remain connected in winter storms and sudden hurricanes. So in the winter, we won't have to disconnect. If we have a sudden hurricane that's a lower magnitude, we wouldn't have to disconnect. We do have the capability to disconnect for hurricanes. I've talked about the risers and the umbilicals. In connected, we're designed for a 10,000-year winter storm. When disconnected, we're designed for a 1,000-year hurricane, so that's a survival condition. And reconnection is in 2.5-meter seas and disconnection in 3-meter seas. So that gives you an idea of the criteria that it's been designed to. We will disconnect at least on a yearly basis just because that's what the regulatory agencies would like to see. And this is the topsides, so it's not a particularly complex topsides. I already mentioned it's 60,000 barrels a day, so it's a single level deck. This is one of the few projects I've worked on where topsides has not been the most difficult part, the critical path. Topsides actually has gone pretty smooth. Another look at the buoy, but more importantly, a look at the structural connectors. So the structural connectors are what holds the buoy in place and what's released so that the buoy is able to submerge and the FPSO and the people on board safely sail away. This was some technology that was developed within SBM. They did a full-scale prototype test to show that it worked, and I'll show a little later that it did work. Okay, so in terms of construction progress, so you see in the upper right there the Captain XK. That was the candidate tanker that was used, Suezmax size, came into the yard. And then you see down there in March of 2015 just how much has happened. There's a view pretty late during construction of the Turritella topsides. This is a picture from the naming ceremony. So this happened at the end of August last year. So this is an opportunity for Keppel to invite SBM and Shell to come to Singapore and name the Turritella. Here it is departing from Quayside at Keppel's yard in Singapore. So a little closer look at the turret. So you can see the gantry on top. The turret goes down into the ship, obviously. Here we are getting ready to depart for sea trials. And here's what it looks like on the aft side, so the helideck and the reel hose. Another view of the top sides. Okay, so the buoy turret, it's really in 3 parts. So there's the buoy itself, and on the bottom you can see the fabrication of it. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what that means. There's the turret in the middle, and then there's the gantry, which is the yellow part on top. So the buoy is typically for a disconnectable FPSO, the buoy would be a steel buoy because of the conditions at Stones. Again, those high inline tensions. A steel buoy never would work. Just couldn't get the collapse to converge. So we worked with SBM on a design that used syntactic foam. So it's made up of syntactic foam blocks and a steel structure. So this slide shows the syntactic foam blocks being installed. And it also points to something that is really, the white model in the middle really was very helpful because you think about all those blocks, and I don't remember the number of blocks, but a lot of blocks of all different shapes and sizes, and they all had to fit, and they all had to fit in pretty close tolerance. That model really helped us a lot in terms of doing that fabrication planning. And there's the completed buoy. All the modules in place, nicely painted, ready to go. Harima was the contractor who did the installation, so they used the boulder. And so this is showing the boulder making the lift offshore. And here's the buoy just after being placed in the water. Looks a little bit like a space capsule, but and then the end of last year, the Turritella arrived in the Gulf of Mexico and came onto the Stones location. Another picture of it arriving. And finally a picture of the Turritella at sunset. Okay, so now I'm going to move to safety. and I've kind of said it, but I haven't said it explicitly, but down at the bottom you see the Stones team vision. It's working together to safely deliver our Phase 1 promises. So that very much encompasses the two things that I've stressed on the project, and that is working together within the Shell team, breaking down those internal silos, and working together with our key contractors. So we've had a lot of engagement with our contractors, a lot of engagement internally to better understand each other. What we learned is we're all different, but we need each other to survive. And that's true in working within our own team. It's true in working with our contractors. Safety is what it's all about. That's what we were striving for. And of course, we want to meet our promises in terms of cost and schedule. And this slide in the middle is a banner that was put up at one of our first safety leadership engagements with our key contractors. So the slide itself, the banner itself was first put up in Singapore. I don't have that in the slide pack, but one of the things that we wanted Keppel and the other contractors in Singapore to understand is this is a special project. From their perspective, it's not the biggest FPSO, it's not the most complicated FPSO, but it will be the world's deepest FPSO. So in that regard, it's special. And so we wanted the workers to think of it as special. We wanted them to treat it special with the objective of no one being hurt. So we came up with this phrase of building something special with no harm. And those banners were hung throughout the yards in Singapore and stressed to the workers that you really are building something very special here. We don't want any of you to be hurt. This banner itself, it shows the 6 key contractors that work together on Stones. And at the top is our vision. It's very much about working safely one day at a time. If we can be safe today, we can be safe tomorrow, the next day. It's hard to think about zero. The only number that matters as anything to me on safety is 0. It's hard to think about 0 when you think about 20 million man hours. But 0 is achievable if you take it one day at a time. And it's about doing the right thing at all times. Quality was also stressed. Our quality vision was very much about doing things right the first time. This photograph was taken during one of the safety leadership engagements in Singapore. Shows the poster that was put together for quality. And this is what I think are the keys to the safety journey success. I'll show the results of safety in Singapore here in a minute, but I want to show the keys. So I think safety is a key project driver. We didn't have to have an accident for people to get focused on safety. We were focused on safety from the very beginning. Excellent working relationships, so I've talked a little bit about that, but it's an easy thing to put on a slide, it's an easy thing to say, but it definitely takes a lot of work to make it happen. And I think in a number of areas we've really made it happen, and safety is one area where it's worked really well. Genuine care for people. That's actually when we would go to the yards for the safety leadership engagements, we didn't go there to say, you know, where are you on progress? Where are you on progress? We went there to talk with the workers about safety. What was on their minds? What were they concerned about? What could we do to help them? So we did things like have lunch with the supervisors. And we let the supervisors talk to us and tell us about the challenges that they had. We encouraged them. We let them know that we were supporting them. We did things like provide gloves. We provided fruit to the workers. We provided safety awards to the workers. We intervened with the workers. So we had people out there. The Shell team on site was primarily focused on safety and quality. So we had coaches out in the yard. We had people, all the Shell people out in the yard showing that care for people. There was strong commitment from both project and senior management, so both within the Shell organization, my management, and both within the SBM organization. The senior managers went to site. We talked about safety. And finally, a consistent approach to safety. So we didn't have the Shell arrogance to say, hey, we know more about this than you guys do, change everything you're doing and do it this way. We learned what is Keppel's system, and we worked with SBM and Keppel to make it the very best that it could be. And this graphic, safety etched in stone, was one of the things that Technique brought to one of the safety leadership engagements. So I thought it was pretty cool. They got the message. So the senior management safety engagements, what were they all about? They were really to develop us as safety leaders. So we don't all come into this as safety leaders. I think we all come into it with a commitment to safety, but there's a difference between a commitment to safety and being a safety leader. So having these discussions, I think, really helped us in terms of alignment, recognition for both the people and the issues. We reviewed safety performance. We reviewed what we were doing to improve safety. And we had what we call the felt site visits. So that's interacting with the workers, having lunch with the supervisors, showing them that we cared. So in the upper right there, you can see one of the safety recognitions. In the upper left is one of the safety leadership engagements we had with the 6 key contractors on Stones. And in the lower left is the very first safety leadership engagement we had at Keppel in Singapore. These really made a difference. Really got the dialogue working. I don't think everyone saw that at the beginning, but I think people appreciated it at the end. And there were a number of things, and this is just an example of some of the things that were done to reduce exposure. So in the upper left is something that FMC did, where in putting this manifold together, if you had it in its upright position, you would have had workers working at height doing the welding. They said, well, hold on, what if we turn it around and now they're working on the ground? So they were thinking about the safety of the workers. The lower left is an area in Singapore on the FPSO that was marked out. So if there was work above for loading things, that was cordoned off with a hard barrier. And this confined space, so this is very much about, there was a lot of work on confined space. So it's a conversion of an existing tanker, so you can imagine all the work that went on. This is an alarm system, so people would know at different levels if there was an issue down in one of the tanks. There was a monitor up on top who would monitor it. If anything went wrong, then he could get help and evacuate people. Okay, so how'd we do? So these that are scrolling on right now are the keys to the safety journey success. And I think the outcome has been pretty good. So the work in Singapore has been completed. All the work in Keppel was completed over 13 million man-hours without a single safety recordable. That's phenomenal. The entire work in Singapore just short of 16 million man-hours, and we had one recordable where a fellow had a soft tissue injury to his finger. So when I look at bringing the team together, working towards safety, and I see these results, yeah, it really works. It really works. We're really proud of this performance. It's taken a lot of effort, but it's really great. On the upper left shows comparisons to a couple of previous Shell projects. So you can see the blip in the blue line and the red line at the beginning. So those were projects that also were very focused on safety. But I think really it was once they had an accident at the beginning of the project that they really got focused on safety. For Stones, we really kind of crept along that zero line the whole way. The green line actually includes some recordables from drilling the wells. So on the project side, we've only had 2 recordables. We had the 1 recordable in Singapore, and we've had 1 recordable offshore. So really, really clean record on safety. Okay, so now I'm going to show a video.
We are 37 hours from Texas, 27 hours from Mexico, and over here, 20 hours from
buoy will have enough buoyancy not only to carry itself, but carry the mooring as well as the risers. We're talking about 1,100 tons of weight for the risers that needed to be supported while the FPSO disconnects.
A floating buoy made out of syntactic foam in 9,500 feet of water has never been done before.
It's 3 times the size of the deepest current floating production unit's buoy. Each step along the way, it's whole new with this depth. The anchors actually on the seabed floor are the heaviest piles ever run in the world. The risers are the deepest steel catenary risers ever run. And the mooring system with its adjustable inline mooring connector, we can now adjust it. That has never been done in the world.
The topside production facilities will produce roughly 60,000 barrels of oil a day, up to 30,000 barrels of water a day, and up to 15 million scuffs of gas a day. The produced oil will be sent to the cargo tanks, water is cleaned up and sent overboard, and the gas that's produced is used as fuel gas for the gas turbines, and we can export gas.
So this will be the first FPSO in the Shell fleet which will have a hydrocarbon gas blanketing system, a piece of green technology.
This is a clean operation. Valves, like the safety systems, we moved up to sill level 2s and 3s on what used to be normal systems, so we have redundancy in so many of the operations on board.
Our vision is working together to safely deliver our Phase 1 promises, delivering something special with no harm.
We're trying to do something special at Stones. We're trying to make sure we're not only the deepest, record-breaking FPSO, but we'll also be the safest FPSO that any of these contractors have worked on.
Shipyards, and particularly when they do overhauls, tend to be very high-risk activities and very poor safety performance. Stones is setting safety records.
Goal 0, people said it couldn't be done, but we've done it.
The site team should be credited with the amount of time that they have spent in the yard focused on safety. They've developed working relationships with the workers here in Singapore. They've let them know that they care about them. The workers know the Shell people.
We've worked hard to try and change the culture of the yard on safety. We have a lot of initiatives on safety.
376 training sessions, 44 initiatives. I'm very pleased to see the growth in the actual workers themselves in hazard awareness.
The Stones project in terms of the HSE performance is some of the best that Shell has seen, so that really makes me proud of the FPSO team and just in Stones in general. It motivates the heck out of me.
This is where the rubber meets the road, as they say. We're pulling the buoy into the turret. We're going to clamp on, and we're going to be part of the outer continental shelf of the United States.
We're taking dreams and thoughts and making them a reality in steel and pipe.
I'm confident that the future of FPSOs are going to be different versions of Stones.
Houston, the Eagle has landed.
The Stones project is tackling new challenges in deep water with innovative concepts. It takes a company like Shell to take on these challenges and then deliver the project safely.
It's a good day. Good day.
you enjoyed the video. That was right about the time that the buoy was being pulled in. So where we're at right now is we're pulling in risers and umbilicals. We're commissioning systems, and we're in that final home stretch to first oil middle of this year. I would submit to you that Stones, the Turretel FPSO, is the safest FPSO ever delivered. It's the most complete FPSO ever delivered at sail away, and it's delivering the new technology for ultra-deep water. Thank you.